Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 655. Barry and the Haunted Printer. Intermediate. Barry Jenkins worked in a small insurance office in Croydon. He wasn't particularly ambitious, but he was proud of one thing. He had never, in 17 years, lost a stapler. His desk was a shrine to stationery, neatly arranged pens, colour-coded folders, and a mug that said, "World's Okayest Employee." One Monday morning, Barry arrived to find the office printer blinking ominously. It displayed a message, "I'm watching you." Barry blinked back. "Probably just a glitch," he muttered, sipping his lukewarm tea. But then the printer spat out a single sheet of paper. It read, "Nice tie, Barry." Barry looked down. He was wearing his novelty tie with dancing badgers. Only his mum and the cat had seen him leave the house. He asked Sandra from HR if she'd been messing with the printer. She said she hadn't touched it since it printed her divorce papers twice last week. Barry tried to ignore it, but the printer kept printing strange messages. "You forgot your lunch again." "That spreadsheet was rubbish." "I know what you did in the supply cupboard." Barry was rattled. He unplugged the printer. It printed, "Nice try." He called IT. Darren from IT came, looked at the printer, shrugged, and said, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" Barry glared at him. Darren left. That night, Barry stayed late to confront the machine. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. The printer whirred and printed one final message. "Just a bit of fun, mate. You take life too seriously." Barry stared at the paper. Then he laughed. Properly laughed for the first time in months. The next morning, he brought in a donut for the printer. It jammed immediately. Vocabulary notes. Rattled, meaning feeling nervous, worried or confused, often because something unexpected has happened. Example, Barry was rattled. He unplugged the printer. Similar words. Shaken, disturbed, flustered, alarmed. Lukewarm, meaning slightly warm, often used to describe drinks or reactions that are not very enthusiastic. Example, he muttered, sipping his lukewarm tea. Similar words. Tepid, mild, room temperature, half-hearted when describing reactions. Spat out, meaning to eject something quickly or suddenly, often with force or annoyance. Example, then the printer spat out a single sheet of paper. Similar words. Ejected, shot out, coughed up, informal, released. Shrugged, meaning to raise and lower your shoulders to show you don't know something or don't care. Example, Darren from IT came, looked at the printer, shrugged. Similar words. Gestured indifferently. Dismissed. Ignored, contextual. Gave a nonchalant response. Properly, meaning in a complete or thorough way, often used informally to emphasize something. Example, then he laughed, properly laughed for the first time in months. Similar words. Fully, truly, genuinely, wholeheartedly. Story written by Copilot AI. Image created by Copilot AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.
Hey there. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take this short, kind of simple story about a man and a very, very strange printer, and we're just going to pull it apart piece by piece to see what makes it tick. Okay, let's get into it. It's a fun thought, isn't it? You know that humming photocopier in the corner? Or that blinking printer? What if it has opinions, a personality, maybe even its own secret agenda? Well, that's the exact question at the very heart of the story we're looking at today. And it all starts with a guy named Barry. So, let me introduce you to Barry Jenkins. This guy is a total creature of habit. 17 years in the same job, and his big claim to fame? He's never lost a stapler. His desk is described as a shrine to stationery, and, well, his mug really says it all. World's Okayest Employee. Barry is basically the definition of a man living life on autopilot. And it's into this perfectly ordered, super predictable life that a little bit of chaos is about to creep in. It all kicks off, as these things so often do, on a Monday morning.
So Barry shows up to work, and the office printer is just blinking with this kind of ominous message. And what's his reaction? He just mutters that it must be a glitch and sips his lukewarm tea. Just another minor annoyance in his very structured day. Or so he thinks.
But then, the machine spits out a single piece of paper with this on it. Now, here's where it gets really weird. The detail. You see, Barry's wearing this novelty tie with dancing badgers on it, and only 2 living beings saw that tie this morning, his mother and his cat. So how on earth could the printer possibly know?
The messages just keep coming, and they're getting way more personal. It's not just making observations anymore. The printer has become a critic, and it's weighing in on his work. This machine is getting more and more intrusive. And then, this one. It's vague, a little menacing, and just deeply unsettling. This is the message that finally shoves Barry out of his comfort zone. This is the one he absolutely cannot ignore. The mysterious printer has officially gone too far. So, completely rattled and unnerved, Barry decides he's got to do something. This sets the stage for the big showdown. A very British, very low-key battle between a mild-mannered employee and a piece of rogue office equipment. Now, Barry is a logical man, so he comes up with a very logical plan. Step 1, cut the power source. Step 2, if that fails, call in the professionals. A perfectly reasonable approach, right? But it doesn't work. The second he unplugs it, the printer, with seemingly no power at all, defiantly prints out this single, mocking phrase. And this is the moment Barry realizes he is not dealing with your average technical glitch. And step 2? Oh, that fails just as spectacularly. Darren from IT shows up, offers the most cliché piece of advice in tech support history, gives a little shrug, and just leaves. Barry is now completely on his own. Totally defeated, Barry confronts the machine later that night, just whispering, "What do you want from me?" And this is the printer's final reply. It's not a ghost. It's not a malfunction. It's a wake-up call. The printer is essentially holding up a giant mirror to Barry's life. And in that moment, something inside him just breaks. The tension, the routine, the sheer absurdity of it all just hits him, and he lets out this real, genuine laugh, a sound he literally hasn't made in months. This is the turning point for our Okayest employee. So, that's the story. But how does the author make it work so well with so few words? Okay, let's switch gears and do a quick deep dive to see how some very specific word choices really build the mood and the characters here. First up, let's talk about the word rattled.
The author uses it right after that super ominous message about the supply cupboard, and it's just the perfect word. See, Barry isn't terrified or angry, he's rattled. His very stable world has been shaken, and this word just perfectly captures that exact level of confusion and anxiety.
Next, let's look at lukewarm.
Now this word is doing double duty. Yeah, it's describing his sad cup of tea, but it's also a perfect description of Barry's life and his kind of half-hearted reaction to that first weird message. It's just a wonderfully efficient bit of characterization.
Now for a really great verb, spat out.
The printer doesn't just print. It doesn't just eject. It spits. This one word gives this inanimate object a whole personality, an attitude. It's annoyed, it's impatient, and it just brilliantly brings the machine to life. And then there's this simple word, shrugged. This single action tells us everything we need to know about Darren from IT. He's not interested, he is not helpful, he is just going through the motions. His entire character is summed up in that one dismissive gesture.
And finally, the adverb properly.
Its placement here is key. Barry doesn't just chuckle, he properly laughs. This little word signals a deep, genuine shift inside of him. It tells us this isn't just some momentary laugh, it's a huge emotional release, a real breakthrough.
So, after this bizarre intervention from an office appliance, what's the end result? Let's look at the takeaway, because Barry is fundamentally a changed man.
And you can see the transformation is pretty stark. He goes from sipping lukewarm tea to properly laughing. He goes from being rattled by messages to bringing in donuts for everyone. His routine, monotonous life has been totally cracked open.
And the story ends with this perfect little punchline. Barry tries to thank the machine, to share his newfound joy, so he brings it a donut. And the printer responds in the most printer-like way you can imagine, by jamming. It's just a funny, ironic twist that brings us right back to reality.
So, the ultimate takeaway here isn't really about a haunted printer. It's about how sometimes we need a strange, unexpected nudge to shake us out of our routines and remind us not to take life quite so seriously. Which leaves us with a final thought. What's the weird, unexpected thing in your life trying to tell you?